Hello, my name is Adia Elam, and I will be talking to you guys about Felix Gazelle and Torres' work entitled 1991, his Billboards. Um, I'm excited to be talking to you guys about this work. It's one of my favorites. So, the AIDS epidemic struck the United States in the 1980s. It killed thousands of people each year. It affected people's health, obviously, but it also affected their livelihood, and it kind of silenced the queer community in a way that they haven't been silenced before in a different sense. And I'll touch on that more later in this presentation. So, uh, the living style of queer people changed drastically. Um, the Christian right really fought for the silencing of sex education pertaining to gay sex specifically. And this kind of caused health officials to be discouraged from talking about practicing safe sex and being encouraged to explore the disease more and looking for a cure. A lot of health insurance companies were denying claims for people who were currently battling the disease, and health workers, were refusing to service people who may or may not have been affected. A lot of queer people were being denied housing. They were losing their jobs. For some reason, people thought that you could contract AIDS by sharing the same cup as someone who may be infected or being in the same swimming pool as queer people, which is just kind of outrageous to think about now. But a lot of what allowed the disease to spread so far was the silencing, essentially from the Reagan administration. His presidency really relied on the approval of the Christian right, and appealing to whatever policies they wanted for America at the time. And this included, obviously, the exclusion of gay rights and ignoring the AIDS epidemic for really the first 5 years, which is, COVID-19 happened 5 years ago. So imagine people not caring about COVID for 5 whole years, that's just outrageous. Um, he referred to queer people as abominations and claimed that the epidemic only affected a small margin of people, therefore, the government didn't really need to take control. This is one of the images for his billboards. They were commissioned by the Modern Museum of Art in New York City, and they're in 24 different locations in New York City. The billboards are the imprints of two humans who have laid in bed together. They're just soft white sheets. Knowing that Torres really cared the most about his partner, this work speaks to the absence of bodies and the loss of life from the epidemic. Um, and it really speaks to what Torres himself lost, which was someone to lay with, um, and the erasure of gay people from media and the importance of inclusivity. Without context for who Torres was, some may look at it as just an mattress advertisement. Torres really appreciated an open-ended conversation about his work, and he doesn't really have a finite meaning, but he does have an extreme passion and drive for his work and expressing his grief. There's a kind of genius to his work, described by Josh Ledston as assimilating queerness into straight America. The kind of like discreetness of his work is what gives it a lot of its charm. Um, Torres kind of liked the fact that people didn't really know that it was queer work, and he liked kind of how it carried on with people. And Leston described this as kind of like its own virus, which may be a little offensive now that I'm saying it out loud. um, he says, the artist conceived of his body of work as a living entity and adaptable to the conditions in which it existed. It kind of formed with the audience and manifested in ways that made sense to the individual person. Here's another image of the work. Uh, Torres really brought love that homosexual people experience in private to public spaces, really combating the silencing that was happening in the middle of the epidemic. Uh, you know, like I said before, the work was its own virus, referring to his political ideologies, his loss, and his kind of mischievous thoughts about his work. This is Torres and Ross together on the beach. Very cute picture. Um, Torres really cared about himself first and expressing his love for Ross and what once was. Um, he kind of took joy in the sexual nature behind his work and how it stuck with people. Um, it is a brilliant representation of love, loss, and assimilation, um, and it is beautifully tragic in how it works to bring um, outsiders in, and strangers or even homophobic people became a part of a queer space. Thank you.